Welcome to the Westeros Media Podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. We are here to tell the Phoenix Rising stories, coming up from the ashes to build businesses, to build personal brands, to parent, coming out, all of it. The stories of those who came from nothing and did great things. We all have a Phoenix Rising story, and I can't wait to hear yours. Join me every week for new podcast episodes. And of course, make sure you follow the show so that you never miss an episode. See you soon.
Welcome back to Lessons from the Ashes, a Westeros Media podcast. I am so excited today to have Tani with me as a guest. Tani is somebody that I met a long time ago, but recently worked with, and she changed my life, and I'm really excited for you to hear about her. So welcome, Tani. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy for your transformation, and I'm super excited to be here with you on having this conversation.
Oh, me too. Okay, so the theme of the podcast is Lessons from the Ashes, and I always ask guests first to say, tell me a bit about a transformation, a Phoenix Rising moment that you've had. It can be a small one, it can be a big one, but let us know what it was and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so when I was in my early 20s, I actually was in a deep depression. And I thought about dying pretty regularly. That seemed like the solution to solving my suffering. I look back now and I'm grateful. I had great parents growing up, and there was something there that wouldn't let me go through with it because I didn't want them to hurt, didn't want them to think it was their fault. But the mental, emotional turmoil within me got so bad that at one point I used to work at a bank, and somebody brought a piece of paper off the fax machine way back then and said, "Where does this go?" And my eyes are looking at the paper, and I can see the letters on the paper. My brain is completely blank. It wouldn't read. Like I couldn't read, like my brain just shut down. And I had to tell her, go ask the other manager, kind of thing. And that freaked me out. And because I was freaked out by that, I called and I called like the employee helpline that the bank had, and they luckily got me into this depression therapy group program. There, I learned that we're not our thoughts, and that we have some degree of control over our thoughts. We can at times choose them. We can, sometimes really focus hard to, focus on what we think about, which then affects how we feel, which then affects what we do, which then affects what we think about. So it was a cycle, and I could choose one. And so I started noticing when I had the thoughts, I suck, I hate my life, I don't want to live. And I would just say, stop. And I would literally put my hand up. And so I would be driving to and from work with putting my hand up like a stop sign, like a policeman putting your hand out, to say stop. I'm sure the people thought I was crazy, but this was life-changing for me. This whole idea that I wasn't my thoughts and that I had some sort of power over it. And so that was really the beginning of my journey. And I started meditating. I got into mindset stuff. And then more recently, I have discovered, as you know, rapid resolution therapy, which is so incredibly cool because it helps us shift the thoughts that we don't choose. Because so many of our thoughts every day, we don't choose them. We don't get up and be like, I'm just going to feel happy all day today, because if we could, we would, right? Mm-hmm. So the way that I did it was really challenging. I was waking up in the morning and doing that. Okay, I'm going to be happy, and working really hard to what do I need to do? What do I need to think, to be happy? And now with rapid resolution therapy, it gets into the part of your mind that where those thoughts and emotions are just naturally caused without, like, outside of our conscious awareness, the ones that we can't choose, and it shifts those. So that's that's what I'm doing now. But that pivotal moment was just really learning that I had the opportunity, that I had power to do something about it, you know? And I spent a lot of time teaching people how to choose thoughts, you know, change neural pathways. And that's still valuable, but it takes a long time, and it takes dedication, and it takes effort, right? So if you want to get it done quickly, you know, rapid resolution therapy is the way to do it. And that's why I was so excited to find out about it. And I'm still really excited to be in this community and be able to share that with my clients now. Clients like you.
Yes, that is definitely something I want to talk about. So when you were in that, obviously you're not a banker anymore. And so like, talk me through, like, you literally just kept saying stop to yourself, and then trying to, like, how long did it take for you to see some change in your life? Like, what did that feel like?
Well, so originally it felt awful. Like it was just suffering, right? Like that I was thinking about dying, that was what seemed like the way out. As I started to learn and started to say that stop, it started to feel more empowering, but also there was a frustration because it wasn't really fast. Like it took a significant amount of time. There were a few other shifts I made. I shifted my diet. I started exercising a little bit more. Also before that, depression group therapy program, I didn't really realize that the food that I was putting in my body would affect my mood, would affect how I felt emotionally, right? And I was eating out a lot and a lot of junk. And I didn't realize that when we move our body, that makes us feel good. Going for a walk, doing yoga, you know, going for a swim, whatever. I didn't realize that. So I did make those other changes as well. And I would say it took probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months of constantly kind of saying those things. But it took years probably for me to reprogram the idea, you know, the thoughts of I suck, I don't like my life, I want to die. It was years before I started realizing, like, oh, I don't have those thoughts anymore.
That's amazing, because you hear so many stories of people who, like, reach a breaking point, right? And obviously looking at that paper and not being able to read it, that's like a pretty smack you in the face moment. But that you stuck with that for so long to try and change your life. That's amazing. So what brought you then from, you know, working in the bank to helping other people? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, well, that was a bit of an interesting shift. It was kind of, I decided that, you know, it just wasn't making me happy. And I had learned that, you know, having work that is fulfilling and purposeful also affects your happiness level. And the bank, I realized, wasn't really aligned with me. We had to treat people differently depending on how much money they had in their account. I was often getting a message from my peer or my manager even saying, like, you know, don't worry about what everybody else, just take care of yourself. And I was like, I don't think I really want to be in a community where you don't worry about other people. I kind of want to help take care of other people and have them help take care of me to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of went on a mission to find something else that I was interested in. And that ended up being advertising sales for a newspaper. Had a lot of fun with that. And then my husband got transferred, and I kind of moved around from different job to different job until I had my first child. And then I didn't want to go back to work. And so I became a little house entrepreneur at that point. I took on other kids. I was a day home and followed that all through. And then I finally realized it was like almost another dipping point in my life where I had done all these things that society tells us to do to be happy, right? Finish school, get a good job, marry someone, buy a house, have kids, then you'll live happily ever after. Well, I did all those things. I wasn't feeling that I was living happily ever after. I wasn't depressed, but I wasn't really happy either. And so one morning I remember I rolled out of bed and I just felt so drained, like, oh, I'm exhausted. I don't want to get up. I just wanted to sleep. And there's part of me that's like, oh no, am I slipping back into depression? And I was like, whatever I do, I am not allowing myself to go back there. Like that, I'm not going, that hole was so hard to pull myself out of. I am not going back. And so I started to kind of explore. I started to tap into my intuition, ask what I needed. And I was just getting these really little cryptic messages like, help others. I'm like, great. Okay. But how do I do that? But I just kept following and asking and following. And it led me to yoga teacher training, which was this huge transformation, like spiritual journey for me. It was a huge spiritual journey that started there, and then it's continued. And that's kind of when I started meeting you, because after I did the yoga teacher training, then I started learning about online coaching world. And then again, there was this little nudge that this is something that you'd be good at. This is something, you should do. And of course, my ego mind is like, what, me? Who, me? I don't know anything. What are you talking about? And so I really did just follow, the nudges from my intuition, followed the signs that the universe sent to me. And I still live my life like that very much, of like, oh, this is showing up. Maybe I should do that kind of thing. Right. So, and towards the end of last year, I was feeling a little meh about marketing coaching, my coaching business. Still love my clients. Clients were getting great results, love showing up to the calls, but the marketing was not feeling good. And so I just let myself not do very much of it, which isn't great if you're running a business where you're relying on your income. So I'm not highly recommending that, because the income did decrease significantly. However, I was in a place where it didn't matter too much if I wasn't making a huge amount of money at that point. And it was like the universe had opened up space, because I found out about rapid resolution therapy. I had fewer clients than I usually had. I had more time on my hands, and I was able to really dive in and train really quickly. I just showed up to every single training and as many, mentoring sessions as I could. And I just was there all the time. And so that actually allowed me to become the first certified RRT specialist in all of Canada. So yeah. So super excited about that. And it just felt like, the universe just, it didn't feel good at the time. At the time, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing this? I know how to do this. I should be doing this. All the chatting in my head for sure. But there was a piece of me that was like, there's probably something going on. There's probably a reason. Let's just see. Now at this point, when I have resistance, there's usually a reason. It's not fear. It's, I'm not afraid of looking like a fool. It's okay.
That is so important. Oh, I love this. Okay. So when you said that thing about you felt like you were slipping back and you were like, I'm never going back there. Yeah. That was like one of the main reasons that I contacted you. So for everybody listening, the story here is that we met at an event like 4 years ago, probably 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. Natalie was a baby. So it must have been, it must have been 6 years ago. Anyways, we met, so we kind of like knew of each other, but weren't,
just saw each other online.
Yeah, just saw each other online. And then I heard a podcast about RRT, and I was like, there are some things, like I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of therapy. I've done individual therapy. I did gay therapy. I did marriage therapy. I did unmarriage therapy. Like I've done it all. Like I have bought many therapists about by now. And I was like, okay, but there's still some things that I just like I can't get past this. And last year I had really bad seasonal depression, like really, really bad. And I was like, I thought I would never get this bad again. Like I did the whole coming out thing. I did the whole leaving my marriage thing. And I thought I did the brave thing. The universe is going to grant me beautiful happiness for the rest of my life now that I've done the hard thing. And then that didn't happen. And I was so mad. And then I was like, I'm never going back there again. So when you said that, I was like, that was like such a key thing for me. Cause I'm like, I'm never going back to that feeling. And there was like so many other factors. Like I was like, feeling a lot of pressure and all this other stuff. But then I heard a podcast about rapid resolution therapy and I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. And then I Googled Rapid Resolution Therapy Canada and your face was the very first face. And I was like, oh, it's meant to be. So I messaged you and I was like, hey, yo, can you help me? And then you did so much. Like I want to talk like about how it works, but like just my own personal experience. I came to you with 3 separate issues, and one of them definitely was like that seasonal depression, and one of them was like a big trauma from earlier in my life. And it was very triggered by a time of year like the fall. And this past fall was the first time I could like play in the leaves and celebrate my birthday and like fully enjoy fall and not have like massive panic attacks. Like for the last 10 years, I've been having like curled up in a ball, sobbing my face off during this time of year. Like my family doesn't, we don't even celebrate my birthday because it's like nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole because they're like, oh, she's gonna have a meltdown. And this year I did. So that's like, if anybody's on the fence, they're like, man, there's something I really need to get past, but I don't know how to do it. Highly, highly recommend this because like I've done the other kinds. But can you tell, because a lot of people listening to this podcast are in that whole burning the life down, trying to get up out of the ashes part, but it's so hard to do it by yourself. So can you just a little bit explain what is RRT and how you kind of use it now that I've gushed about it?
Yeah. Well, I am just thrilled for your transformation. It's so that, and this just lights me up. You know what I mean? To hear this from my clients. 10 years you were suffering.
Yeah.
10 years, you know? And now you can enjoy it and celebrate your birthday. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's just, it just, yeah, lights me up. So RRT looks like a conversation a lot of the time, but it's multi-level communication. So it's designed to speak to both the conscious and the unconscious mind at the same time. And that's what traditional therapy is missing so much of the time. It's really focused on talking to the conscious mind, which we could be like, sure, I get that on a conscious level. But how many people, I would hear so many clients say, but I just don't feel it. I get that I'm worthy, but I don't feel it. I get that I'm safe, but I don't feel it. The feelings are generated by the unconscious mind. So when we can shift things there, we can shift the way you feel, can shift the way you think. And so that is really what we did. And that's what we do in our RT. And it's so useful for so many different issues, right? Heartbreak, anxiety, trauma, removing guilt, shame, anger. It's so good for clearing anger. Anger is actually one that I really love doing. It's so fun because I'll be so mad at the beginning of the session. At the end, I'm like, try to feel the anger. And they're like, and they just have this blank look on their face. And they're like, it's not there. I'm like, exactly. So it's really useful for a bunch of things, but I absolutely am lit up by stories like yours. People who've gone to traditional therapy. You know, what I've learned recently is that therapists, they go to university, but they don't ever get to watch their teacher or their mentor doing the therapy. And their teacher or mentor never watches them doing the therapy. So it's like learning all this theory, and then they're just like, okay, go out there and do that. Can you imagine? Would you take your car to a mechanic that is like, well, I've learned it all, but I've never actually done it? Or a dentist?
Oh, no.
Right? And then the added trouble to a lot of that, I don't know if this is as true in Canada, but it definitely is in the States, where money gets involved. Oh, insurance. You know, somebody will be getting ready to leave, let's say, a substance abuse program. Oh, insurance came through. They're going to pay for 2 more weeks. Oh, the heads of state. Oh, you know what? We have to extend your program. You were going to go home, but now you have to stay 2 more weeks. Like, that's not really cool.
That's so slimy.
Right? So, and that's part of what my teacher, the founder, Dr. John Connolly, saw in the industry. And he was like, no, I'm going to get these people in and out, healed as quickly as I possibly can. And that's really where RRT came from. It was him being like, I don't like this shady stuff over here. I want to get people well as quickly as I possibly can. So I just think that's amazing. So cool.
Yeah, because like the first time we tried marriage counseling, like when I was just like doing my, like realizing what was happening here, we sat down at the marriage therapist and I was like, okay, listen, like, here's the thing. Like, I'm pretty sure that I'm super gay. Like, what are we going to do here? Can you talk us through this? And she just looked at me and she's like, you can't come out. You'll lose everything. You cannot. And I was like, what? And that's what like a licensed therapist said to me. And I was like, that can't be right. And we both were like, wait, what? Like, even he like wanted to stay in the marriage at that point, but like, even he was like, wait a second, like this can't be the advice. She was just like, oh no, like just put a lid on that, shove it down. You can't do that.
Oh
Next
my
issue.
God.
And I was like, are you kidding me? And then it sent me on a search. And that's why I tried so many therapists, because I was like, this can't be the answer. Like it lit a fire under my butt to like go find more. But I was like, what? Like,
yeah. We had an experience like that too. We were going through some stuff in our marriage, and I was like, hey, let's go to a therapist. And we went in and she talked to us, and it basically sounded like, well, we can have like 6 or 7 sessions, and maybe you'll decide you want to stay together. Maybe you'll decide you want to break up. And I was like, what? We're here because we both do want to stay together. You know what I mean? Like we said that, like, it's like, can you help us do that? It felt like she was basically like, yeah, pay me for 7 or 8 times and then I'll help you guys break up. And I was like, that's not what we're here for. We both left that appointment feeling way worse than we did walking into that appointment. And I just was like, nope, not doing that again.
Yeah, I think the problem is that people trust the therapist title and then they assume it's going to be helpful. And there are definitely times that it isn't. Like, there are obviously amazing therapists,
100%.
But I definitely was skeptical when I first heard about RT, because it was like, there's like a solution at the end. And that's what caught my eye, because I was like, I'm sick of talking. Like, I want a paper saying I graduated.
Well, we just want it to be done. And that's even one thing that it's kind of hidden, but we don't say in our RT, like, oh, come, let's work on it. No, we're not going to work on it. Come, what would you like to get done? What are we going to resolve? What are we going to, clear for you today?
I like that. Yeah. That's so different, because it's not just like, here you are in the never ending journey of like suffering through this thing that happened so many years ago. Because that's the thing, is like, the original thing that happened wasn't even the problem. It was like, I kept re-traumatizing myself every year that I would get so upset about it. And it was like, not even about the original issue anymore. And I think that's like so many things, like people hold on to things and then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then it's like, it's so tangled by that time.
And overwhelming. And what we did for you, like, your mind was reading it, so it was somewhere still kind of in your vibration, right? It hadn't been completely cleared. And so at that time of year where, it was like something else vibrated that was similar. So it kind of like, it would activate it. And then the mind was reading it as if it was happening. So what you and I did is we got the mind to understand it's actually not happening. You don't have to do anything about it anymore. There's actually nothing to be done. It doesn't mean anything. You can't find it. We can't go find that moment, right? So if it's in the past, it doesn't mean anything. If it's in the past, it's not happening. There's nothing to be done. It doesn't exist. And that's what we did for you. Just got your mind to just get it. Like, oh, I don't need to try to protect her anymore. This is not happening.
Yeah. Oh, and I just remember, like, after the sessions feeling so like, strutting around, my chest held high. I was like, yes, look at me, I'll solve my problems. I mean, like you did, but
it was your mind. I just guided you, so it was your mind. So you 100% can take credit for that.
Okay, I will. I shall continue to take credit for that. Okay, so I have heard, like, I told a couple people about this, and they're like, that sounds really woo-woo. Like, do you get hypnotized? Are you not yourself? Like, can you debunk a couple myths about it?
Yeah. Well, did you feel like you were not yourself?
No, not at all.
Did you feel like I hypnotized you?
No, I didn't.
Interesting. So I think there's a little bit of hypnosis in there. Like, there's a little bit, it's similar to that, but you felt totally comfortable. You didn't feel like you weren't yourself. You didn't feel that, you just said you didn't feel like I'd hypnotized you. And here the thing is RRT, it really works on your agreement, right? I am always looking for the client's agreement. If the client doesn't agree, RRT doesn't work. So if you're like, no, that's not the intention, that's not where I want the facilitator to take, let me try that again. That's not where I want the facilitator to be intending that I go, and you say no, then we adjust it, we fix it. You know, I am checking all the time. Do you agree? How does that sound? Does that make sense? Is that where you want to go? What did you notice in terms of thoughts and feelings? Like, I'm checking on a regular basis to make sure you're in agreement with where we're going, right? So one doesn't have to worry that, oh, I'm going to come in and I'll just hypnotize you and magically make you somebody else, or, you know what I mean? No, you're agreeing all the way along. I don't know, does that help resolve?
Yeah, definitely. Kind of I think people sometimes worry, like with healing stuff, like, you know, they feel like there's like this like mysterious power and they're a little bit afraid of it.
Yeah.
Which I like that agreement. It's like basically like just continually getting consent. It just seems really safe and like feels good. So you're saying that you can't just like force someone to like send your spouse and be like, hey, go do this. They have to agree.
No, yes. And honestly, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? If someone said, well, my wife wants me to come do this, I'd be like, you know, I'm not taking you as a client.
Oh, interesting.
And I've asked, so I had a guy actually who said something similar to that. And I was like, do you want to be here? Because this will not work if you don't want this shift. And in that case, he was like, no, I want it. And we got a really great shift for him as well. But if he had been like, meh, or even if he'd said yes, but I could feel that he was not really there, I wouldn't have taken it on, because then I would just be taking his money knowing that it's unlikely for it to be very effective.
Yeah, that seems like the opposite of what you're doing. I love that though, because I feel that too. Like, people hire me and I'm like, yes, I'm going to help you. But if they don't actually do their part of it, then it doesn't work. And I'm like, I don't want to take on anyone who doesn't want to do the work, because then it'll look like it didn't work. But there's like two parts to it. Exactly. Like, you need the person to buy in too.
Yeah. And I would like to share one other thing about RRT that's different from regular therapy. We take responsibility as the facilitator for your healing, for getting it done. We take responsibility. So if it doesn't work at the end of the session, I'm not going to be like, well, you must have been resistant, or, well, you weren't ready to change, or, you know, you weren't dedicated enough, which, you know, kind of in the coaching industry, that message is out there sometimes. If it doesn't work, it's your fault on the client, right? With RRT, I take responsibility for that. Now, in coaching, it's different, right? You do need to take action. Yeah. Right? It is, you know, you need the both parts of it for sure. But in therapy, I don't think it should be like that. And that's what I think is so cool about RRT, is we take responsibility and you get to kind of sigh or take a sigh of relief.
Right. It's like, okay, I can hand over this thing that's been hurting me and we're going to solve it together. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And so different from regular therapy, because you go to regular therapy and like your therapist can be like, wow, this is on you, bud. Yeah. Like, they take zero responsibility.
You better figure out what's going on. What have you been, you know, totally. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So if somebody is like, oh, there's like a thing, but I don't know, like, can RT help with this? Like, how would you suggest, if somebody has never heard of this before and then they're like me and they heard it and they're like, sign me up, please. Like, what would you like? What kind of issues can you tackle? Like, what kind of stuff? How would they find out if what happened to them you can help with?
Well, honestly, I would recommend they just reach out and book a consultation call. I'm happy to have conversations with people. It's free. There's no obligation. I don't put any pressure, because again, they have to really want it. They have to be willing and ready. So if they're not ready, it's not the right person for me. And I'd be happy to share that. And I'll share here too some of the things I started talking about, some of them earlier, but rapid resolution therapy is so good for grief, anxiety, stress, removing fears, like entrepreneurs who are afraid of showing up online, who are afraid of failure, who are afraid of, you know, some of them think they're afraid of success. So fears, phobias, guilt, shame, resentment, anger. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I'm sure I'm missing some, but yeah, a lot. Basically, if you're experiencing mental or emotional turmoil or troubling thoughts, it can help you.
That's amazing. Oh, and it definitely helped me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trauma, sexual assault. And that's where it was, I think, also originated. Kind of, John was really helping people that had been sexually assaulted, and people, and addictions, habits. That's the other area that he kind of seemed to really work in, my teacher. And you said too, if people want to just learn a little bit more about it, he's got some great books called Life-Changing Conversations and Grief is Not Sacred. So people could check those out as well. But for sure, book a call with me. I'd love to chat and see if we're a good fit. Even if I'm not the right fit for them, I could refer them to someone else. Yeah, you can tell them about all the things.
Oh, that is amazing. And I'll put your Instagram in the show notes so everybody can check it out. But thank you so much for being here, because I just want to like stand from the rooftops and tell people, like, seriously, just don't doubt it and just do it, because then you could just be like, done. You can just be done with it, and you can just move the fuck on to whatever else happens in life. You know, like, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but man, if you can just like set aside the stuff that's taking up so much space in your brain. Like, I feel like my brain has so much more room for activities now. Like, there's just space.
That is, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was thinking that I wanted to mention this, and then it didn't kind of come up before this. So that's what happens when we're angry, when we're feeling guilt or we're feeling shame. There's this preoccupation that's going on in our mind, and it's draining away from our creativity, our passion, just our energy in general, but also like our critical thinking, our focus, our logic. So when something like that has happened and it's going on, or, the mind thinks it's still going on, which means the mind is angry, afraid, whatnot, you can't be at your best, right? Imagine getting a massage from someone who's really angry. Like, I don't know, how's that going to feel? Right? Or Reiki from someone who's grieving, or I don't know, dentistry from someone who's feeling really guilty, or afraid, someone who's afraid, working on your mouth. Like, it would just be so awkward and weird. And so when you clear that, you get to bring so much more of your clear and free energy to your life, to your business, to whatever you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and I feel like it helped me like in parenting too, like just like that whole like season, I didn't like go under anymore. Like, the kids are like, oh, mom's still happy and summer's over. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Look at me.
Oh, so really happy helpful for you.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us, and make sure that you follow Tani on Instagram. I will put her handle in the show notes and any links that you guys need, but thank you so, so, so much. And as always, this podcast is here for everybody who is burning life down, rising from the ashes, and looking for a little bit of love and support, and how to get to the Phoenix Rising and not get stuck in the ashes. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Stephanie Rose, and I am the host of the West Rose Media podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok and all the places. My handle is at West Rose Media. Check out my website too. There are so many resources for people just like you, people who are climbing out of the ashes, ready to make a new life. I got you, babe. Make sure you follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you never miss an episode, and I can keep doing the magic. I can't wait to keep going. Let's get into it.